YouTube, what is going on? Crowder here, and I'm going to give you guys the best settings for PlayStation 5 and Xbox so you guys can enjoy your Verdansk experience just a little bit more. Let's get right into it. We're going to quickly just scroll through most of the stuff just so you can kind of copy and paste it. A lot of it has not changed too much, but I'll explain some of the sensitivity stuff and dead zone things and just kind of go on as fast as I can so we can get to the point for this video and you can be on your way. Keep it nice and simple. Starting off with the controller settings, you're going to scroll down horizontal stick sensitivity and vertical stick sensitivity. I play on 1.6. 1.65 is exactly what 7.7 used to be before they kind of made this whole like conversion chart. Most of the CDL pros and a lot of pro players play around anywhere from like 1.6 to 1.65. all the way up to like 1.8 or all the way down to 1.4. Anything in that area you can probably get away with using, and you'll be pretty good when it comes to omni movement sliding, keeping up with the slides, and also being able to lock on at farther ranges. If you go over to aiming and you go to your sensitivity multiplier and you hit show more, you can go to your actual ADS sensitivity multiplier right here. And if you wanted to be at like 1.65 when you're just playing from the hip, and you feel like you just want to lock it in a little bit more when you aim in so you can feel locked on at some of those farther ranges, you can go down to anywhere from a 0.9 to a 0.85 and you'll be in a pretty good spot if you're feeling like you're still a little shaky after watching this video. But a lot of it's going to be personal preference, and it's pretty simple from there. So I would choose what works best for you. 1.65 to 1.6 is what I would recommend trying for everybody, and then kind of going from there. And then going all the way down to the important stuff is going to be dead zones. So dead zones in a nutshell are basically when your stick is actually going to start registering the movement that you're making. So you can see here on my left stick minimum, I'm going to go all the way up there, and you see that red ring kind of got a little bit bigger around the left side of that stick right there. And as I move this left stick, in order for me to actually get my guy to start moving and walking and running and all that, I would have to pass that threshold of that dead zone for it to actually start registering. So this can cause delay if your dead zones are too high. So the best thing when it comes to dead zones is your left stick minimum and your right stick minimum. You want to be as low as possible, so you're getting that registered movement field as quickly as possible. Especially on your left stick, it's very important that Call of Duty is a game of aim assist. And of course, if you're a controller player, you want to activate that aim assist by getting the rotational aim assist. And the best way to do that is through your left stick, strafing left and right and always being moving. The more you move, the more your aim assist will actually kind of activate, and you'll be able to kind of track people through that left stick right there. So left stick minimum is always going to be at a 0. If you're getting automatic movements and your controller is just not doing very well with it, I would recommend just going up 1, 2, 3, 4, and then maybe 5 being the absolute maximum. Anything over than 5, your controller is probably a little bit messed up. You can go to 10. Again, that's kind of getting too high, but yeah, I would recommend 5 and then lower, whatever works for you. 0 is what I play on my left stick minimum. And then the left stick maximum is going to be a little bit different, and you only do it for the left stick. You can see as I go higher here, the red zone is kind of getting farther away. All this means is that in order for me to hit max speed on my left stick, aka my movement, I would have to go all the way to 100% to get that max speed feeling. If you lower the left stick maximum and you go all the way down to around like 60, 65 area, instead of having to go to 100, I have to go 60% of the way, and I'm going to be at max speed with tack, sprint, assist, and tack, sprint in general, and strafing left and right. You want these movements to happen as fast as possible, so I personally actually like playing on a lower left stick maximum. Once you start getting below 60, your controller kind of gets a little weird, so I'd recommend keeping it around 60, 50 being the lowest, and then going up from there until it feels good. You can go all the way to 85. Anything is better than 99, so try what works for you on that, and then go from there with your controller. And for the right stick minimum, I would try anything from 0 to 5, whatever works for your controller. Again, it is the same philosophy on the left stick as it is on the right stick, and the right stick minimum is going to be your recoil control and your tracking and your aiming stick. So it's going to be a very important dead zone to have kind of locked in for yourself. Try 5, then go down to 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 0, and whatever you feel best is really going to be what works for you. So do all of that. The right stick maximum, do not touch. You don't want to mess with that at all. Then the L2 and the R2 dead zones are just going to be 1. Going over here to aiming, my sensitivity multipliers, I don't mess with any of that. If you go to your aiming advanced settings right here, you can see that my look inversion, I don't play with that. Aim response curve type is going to be dynamic. You can play on anything that you want here. Most players play on dynamic because basically your micro movements are going to start fast and then slow down to your sensitivity. So when you're aimed in, you're making kind of those micro adjustments. You want them to happen as fast as possible. If you're an experienced player, if that's too much for you, you can definitely play on linear, which is going to be more just kind of consistent throughout the way. Or you can play on standard, which is going to be kind of what it comes at as a default. And that is going to be slower to faster. So some of those micro adjustments might be a little bit slower, and that could work best for you. Again, a lot of personal preference when it comes to these settings. I like dynamic, but you can try whatever you want. Your aim assists, of course, you want them to be on. I don't play with the motion sensor behavior. and then you go over to movement. Now, movement, when it comes to Warzone, if you're a Warzone only player and that's all you're caring about for this video, I would put on tactical sprint assist on. I play with it only just on for regular sprint assist because I also play a lot of multiplayer and I think it's better in multiplayer. So again, asterisk here. If you're a Warzone only person, I would play with tactical sprint assist on. And you go to your sprint assist, you want your sprint assist delay to be 0. And then sideways and backwards, you want to have them both on as well. Mantle assist and all this stuff you keep off. Hybrid is probably the most advantageous movement that you can possibly have. If you're someone who's just playing Warzone casually with the boys, you don't really care about the movement demons and doing all these parachutes and these cool moves and stuff, just play on slide only and you'll be completely fine. Whatever works for you is going to be good. And then you go through this sprint restore and all this stuff. You can kind of just copy and paste that. And the movement advanced settings, single tap to run. If you're not going to use tactical sprint assist, the single tap to run should be absolutely used. Is going to make sure that all you have to do is click in your left stick one time to get to that tactical sprint. Although it says single tap to sprint makes more sense, I promise you that is regular sprint, not tactical sprint. Running is considered tactical sprint. Very, very weird. But yes, single tap to run is what you want to be playing on. And that is going to be the advanced stuff there. Vehicle settings, you don't have to worry about too much. And then these are the combat settings here. Make sure your armor plate is apply all. Your combat advanced settings, here it is. Prioritize interact is much better for looting. It makes it a lot smoother. I'd recommend doing that if you're a Warzone guy. And then that's really it for that. Overlay behaviors, nothing too crazy, and that is going to be your controller settings. All right, now we're on to the graphic stuff. We're going to be at 120 hertz refresh rate. Make sure that is on. Of course, if your monitor is not 120 hertz, then you probably need to do an upgrade. Or if you have a 120 hertz monitor and it's not actually registering, you're probably not using an HDMI 2.1 cable. Make sure you guys have good, not faulty HDMI cables. It's very, very important when you're playing on console. Brightness here, I'm going to have mine at 55. Eco mode preset, I'd have it efficiency. Quality, everything's going to be turned off except for fidelity cast. You put that at 90. Minimal streaming. Go to your view, and now when you're playing Warzone, I was just on multiplayer, you are going to want to play on 110 FOV or up to 120 depending on how cracked and young you are. I am now 30 years old. 120 just makes it a little bit too much for me. Maybe if I start playing a lot more again, I'll go to 120. But I think the perfect medium for Warzone with getting rid of visual recoil but still having a good FOV is going to be 110. The higher you go up here, the less visual recoil you will have, but the smaller the target and the enemies will look, and obviously there'll be more to look at. So find the balance for you. I would recommend 110 if you're super cracked, 115 to 120. If you're not cracked or cracked enough for 110, I would play at 105, and you kind of go from there. I play at 100 when I play multiplayer, so I kind of go back and forth. ADS field of view is very important. Affected gets rid of a lot of visual recoil. I would recommend getting used to this setting. It's very, very important when it comes to Warzone, especially at the higher FOVs. And then everything else is pretty, normal here. First person camera movement, make sure it's at 50%. And then you go over to your audio, master game volume. That's going to be what it's looking like for me on the console. Dialogue volume is a little lower. Music completely off. Effects all the way up. And you are good with that. Advanced headphones mode is just stupid, not needed. I don't think it's good. Sucker punch when you're playing on console is probably the best for that. And then if you want to do anything with the frequencies, on console I've messed with the frequencies a little bit. I might try this on PC with the loudness EQ, but either way on console, that's what I do for the left channel frequency, and the right channel is just 50-50 and then all -50. And I feel like it is pretty good for the audio in general. I feel like I've had no issues so far. I don't use any of the weird stuff for the console audio or anything like that. I never really had to. And yeah, the last thing we'll go over for you guys is going to be the interface stuff. Very, very normal. Readability, it's going to be the color customization. You want this at filter 2, both, and at 100, and you are good to go there. That's all you really have to change for that. And then gameplay HUD, minimap square, it makes it a little bit bigger. Rotating, and the safe areas, I bring them all the way in to get a closer minimap to my top left of my screen, and nothing else here should be too crazy. Yeah, no, the crosshair I play on static, and yeah, that's going to be everything for your console settings. This is going to be basically identical on the Xbox as well. I'm just going to have an older video play from a video that I've already made when it comes to these console settings, when it comes to dashboard console settings for PlayStation and also Xbox, just to help you out a little bit more. And yeah, wrap it up. So if you're enjoying this video right now and you're still going to stick here for those settings, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be dropping as many tips and tricks as I can on top of other content on this channel as well that you guys are probably familiar with. Hopefully you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Okay, so for this, really quick, you're gonna go to your screen and video settings in your console dashboard on PlayStation 5. You're gonna go to screen and video. You're gonna go to video output, and you're gonna go down to over here, which is gonna say auto low latency mode on. or off. Make sure you have it on if your monitor and or TV has it allowed, because that is going to be very important. And then of course, make sure that the VRR is on as well to help you out. So right now, what I'm currently playing on, I do not need that or anything of the sort. But if you do have this available, make sure this is on. And of course, make sure you hopefully have your 120 hertz output, and then everything else is going to be good. So again, your VRR you want on, and you want your auto low latency mode on as well, if you can. And of course, if you're not using HDMI 2.1 cables, make sure you have those in there as well, because that is also very important for the 4K gamers out there that are watching this video. And then of course, you want to go to your saved data and game app settings, and you want to go to your game presets and just make sure that you have your performance mode on as well. Not resolution mode, not game default. Just make sure you have your game presets on performance mode. That is also going to help your console out a lot too. So make sure that is set to performance mode. And for the Xbox players, of course, you're going to go to your settings on your Xbox. You're going to go over to general. You're going to see TV and display options. You're going to click into this. And then of course, you're going to see general TV and display options. Your resolution, the refresh rate that you're playing on, make sure you double check that's all going according to plan of whatever you're trying to play on, of course. And then you're going to go over to your video modes, and you're going to go see that you can tick off a bunch of these boxes. Make sure that if you're playing on 4K, you would be ticking off the allow 4K. You want to allow 50 hertz. And then if you allow your auto low latency mode on, if you obviously are able to do so, make sure that is checked off. And then your variable refresh rate is going to be on as well. And that should help you a little bit more to have a smoother version of Call of Duty while you were playing. So hopefully this video helps you. Again, like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff.